All right, so we got Coach Matt Williams from Henry Ford College and Coach Zach Johnston from Concordia University. Um, we are around Thanksgiving right now, so I just kind of want to talk to you guys about your guys' fall season coming out of the fall. Matt, I'll start with you. What did you guys do this fall? I know there were some limitations that you guys had on you. But what'd you guys do this fall, and what'd you like about your fall?
So due to COVID, we were only limited to 3 days where we could have games. As the fall went on, numbers were getting better, so we actually added an extra game with Lords. We went down there, so majority of our fall was scrimmaging with our team. It was really a good time to really see the guys develop. Tuesday and Thursday was an opportunity for all of our quote-unquote redshirt guys to show what they had to offer, meaning play against starters, guys who we feel are going to make the team, to really showcase where they are. And we did a lot of just fundamentals as well. Starting back in the end of August, we finished up at the end of October. So we actually, honestly, we got a lot of work in considering what was going on. And I was very happy about our protocols. We took everybody's temperature before we came in. We did a screening with all the athletes. They were required to have masks on if they weren't on the baseball field. So we went off without a hitch. And then we started our workout program in September, middle of September at 2SP. And again, it was the same thing where we had all the protocols, making sure, if anybody had a temperature or what have you. We've really done well with it. I've liked that the team is starting to come together, that they are willing to not necessarily call each other out, but hold each other accountable. That's the biggest thing. It's very difficult to do that in a 2-year program and them wanting to come out of their shells, especially now. Like, it's really weird because in COVID, like, we potentially might have a 4th-year player who is only going into a sophomore year because of how COVID is going to work out. So the camaraderie and how they're willing to really hold each other accountable is one thing that I really, really, really enjoy, and I'm happy about coming out of this fall.
You guys seem to have built that kind of 4-year atmosphere too at Henry Ford. Like, I feel like there's some generational stuff going on there. 1 year, guys have relationships and are building relationships with guys from the year after them. What would you say, like, kind of goes into you guys doing that, building that type of?
Biggest thing that we want to do, the expectation, if you're coming in as a freshman, you're going to redshirt. You are going to redshirt. That is the expectation if you're a freshman coming in. And that's one thing that we communicate to all of the student athletes that we have coming in. And if you earn your way onto the roster, then that's where you see and understand how you can get better as a player. But the biggest thing is just everybody has an understanding and know and have their expectations as they come in. So nobody, like, we don't guarantee anybody a spot, no matter who you are. We guarantee that you're going to get an opportunity to show what you can do. And that's what we have that opportunity of doing and playing all the games we played. So, I'm happy that, so many players decided to come back for their COVID 3rd year. I doubt we might have a COVID 4th-year guy, but we'll see how it goes. But the fact that they want to come back shows that, the camaraderie is there, and we appreciate, the growth that we're having.
Zach, what'd your fall look like?
Similar to Henry Ford. We had a little, we had our own protocols. Probably the same across most programs with daily health screenings, temperature checks, etc. The difference between us and Henry Ford, though, is we were going 6 days a week. We were very, very blessed and lucky, however you want to look at it. But we were going 6 days a week, basically with 2 inter-squad days each week. So most of our off days were on Mondays. We would have, a doubleheader on Saturday, doubleheader on Sunday. The only difference between us and Henry Ford from a game setting was we didn't have any outside opponents. We were all inter-squads. So against each other. I split up the teams each week, mix and match based, I wanted, different catchers to work with different pitchers, different hitters to see different pitchers, different infielders, middle working with each other, different outfielders working with each other. So I switched up teams basically each weekend. I changed up the lineups, but it actually went very, very well. Normally, like, for example, Coach Williams and Henry Ford come and play us almost every fall, since I've taken over. And there's some major benefits to that from our program side of things, where I get to see their guys, and not only our guys playing baseball against an outside opponent, but it's a good recruiting tactic for us. And so I do like that. But this fall went so well with our guys getting so many more reps, because it was my team versus my team, basically, that I don't know if I'll go back. We had a real good fall. The weather was great too. I'm sure Coach Williams and Henry Ford, not being far from us, had the same great weather that we did. So I can't complain about the fall from a weather side of things. We got into our strength program in basically middle of October. Right after our Red Black World Series, which is normal for us. And we were into it a few weeks, and then, things got worse again, and we had to shut down like everybody else. But our guys have their workouts, they know what they're supposed to be doing right now in regards to our strength program, which revolves around not just the weight room, but speed and agility, swimming, and yoga. And so they're getting after it. I hold them accountable each day. They send me photos for updates, and I send them motivational stuff back. So right now is a little different. We should be finishing up what we call our Lewiston Challenge. But unfortunately with COVID, that has been postponed, and we'll get after it hopefully when we get back come January. But fall was good. I don't really have any complaints. Different protocol, different stuff we had to account for, but we made it work. Control what you can control.
Why would you not go back to those games at the JUCO?
Just because how many reps our guys got. I got to see way more of our guys. And
but aren't you still seeing those guys playing the JUCO, or it just allows you to bang out more guys, in front of your eyes per practice or whatever, whatever.
Exactly. It just allows, in total, our guys got more reps. Like if I look at, overall, like for example, most teams openly are pretty deep. So my fourth string outfielder, if you want to call him, my backup outfielder or my backup second baseman, the guys that are still, I don't know enough about yet. Then maybe they're transfers in, maybe it's first year with the program, maybe they're coming off an injury from last year, whatever it may be, and I need to see more. Those guys, if I was playing JUCOs, would get into those games, but wouldn't get as many reps as they're starting on one team, when we're playing inter squads against each other. So it was very beneficial. Yes, our guys who I believe are going to be our starting 9 probably got the same amount of reps if we played a JUCO, more than likely. However, I'm not positive on that either, because at some point I would sub in other guys, because it's free substitutions at that point when we're scrimmaging and all. I'd sub in other guys to get guys other action. So then my guys who I think would be starters are coming out. And in a game against 2 of my teams, they stay in the entire game. So in that sense,
Okay, so I want to ask you a question, and then I want to ask Matt a question right after. So what about, is there any, thing where you think about, okay, I'm losing out on seeing this JUCO guy, this, this veteran catcher, veteran shortstop, or veteran big arm, type guy? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, definitely.
Because then that has to make your high school, theoretically, that has to make your high school recruiting a lot sharper.
Yeah, I'm still going after the JUCOs. Luckily now being in my 7th year at the helm, not everybody has the relationship Matt and I have, Coach Williams and I have, but I basically know all the JUCO head coaches out there now. So I can go by word of mouth a little bit more than my eyes. It's not necessarily having to see every single guy. Plus last year, this year in particular is a little different. Those guys didn't really have a season last year. So who knows what they're going to be like moving forward this coming year? Who knows what they would have performed like last year? So 100%, I agree with you. It does make our job a little different from a standpoint. We might have to get away to see a game in the spring on one of our off days. We might have to go by word of mouth a little bit more and trust these coaches' opinions a little bit further. But technology is so great nowadays. Most of these coaches have film on their guys they can send out, and then by their word of mouth, then what I can see on the film, kind of like a showcase. You can do a decent job of recruiting where it might not be 100% necessary to see the guys play against you. And sometimes their best players don't have a good game against you, or stuff happens. So you never. I agree with you though, Mac, that I would much rather see a guy in person rather than video or by word of mouth. But the pros and cons with my guys getting more reps, what I have with my team, might outweigh, the little bit of advantage of me seeing the guy.
Well, and it does make sense because, with however many guys you're carrying, I don't know if you're carrying 40, 50 guys, whatever, but you're really giving those guys more eyes, more reps, more development within your program. So, Matt, let me ask you this. First off, Matt, let me ask you, how many guys are you carrying at Henry Ford?
Right now, so we actually had like 7 or 8 opt out of the fall. What that means is they decided not to show up or be a part of any fall activities due to COVID. So if we had all of those guys with us, we'll be at like 38, 39 guys. So we're at like 30, 31. And then, of course, everybody deals with injuries. We had like 5 guys, and mainly arms, who were injured. And then so that got us down to like 25, 26 guys. So it was kind of tough for us to get the number of inter-squad games in, because it was majority of our pitching staff was just either on the COVID break or were injured. But our position players, we had enough position players to really play. And I wanted to just second what Zach was saying, that watching our guys play against each other I loved it. I think that's a really big benefit, because one, we all have our ace, we all have our number 2, number 3, number 4 guys that we're going to have throwing a weekend. So you can kind of split those guys up to really make it as equal as possible to, have each type of team see almost an equal caliber opponent, right? Like our ace would throw with our on our quote unquote second tier team. He'll be the starting pitcher for that team. But then our, number 2 guy will be the starting pitcher or our number 4 guy will be the starting pitcher for the starting team. So, our guy who's probably not as good as our ace is throwing against a team that's not as good as our starters. So it was always a good mix of what they are going to see. But then we just eventually started to increase the pressure on both sides to really help them get that experience. So like right now, we're at like 25, 26, but when we're at full tilt, we're at about 38, 39 guys. But we can only travel with 24. We can only travel with 24. So, we're going to have about 15 red shirts, coming into the season here.
So, then it would make sense for you guys to obviously find other programs to play against
Right.
It's, you right. How many guys are you carrying, Zach?
Normally, without COVID, we're in low 40s. I've ranged in my tenure between, I think my lowest was my first year when I first took over, was 39, and then my most was 46. But this year with COVID, I had 10 seniors return. So 46 plus 10 seniors, I'm at 57 guys this year. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a enormous roster now.
You got it in a squad at that point.
Yeah, yes, 100%.
Full in a squad.
Majority of those are pitchers. We carry a good number of arms because, in my opinion, pitching wins. We were all position players, but at the end of the day, I'm not naive. I know pitching wins, and so we do have a number of arms, and we're pretty excited about that. But yeah, normally we're in the low 40s. But when you have 10 seniors return that you don't expect, and you recruit to replace them, kind of deal. You got to add 10 to that, and we're at 57. So,
okay. Honest, real quick, too. I got to add this in real quick.
No,
I'm mad that our guys really weren't able to. Did I have Severini and Severini throw? I don't think he threw with you against you guys last year.
I don't think so. Yeah.
And he's our ace. I mean, he's looking to go pretty high. Like with our pitcher staff this year, I'm really, really excited about. Even last year, I was excited about.
So this actually leads me into what I was going to ask you guys next. I want both of you guys to talk about both programs' pitching staffs. Sum them up, just whatever you guys got on it. So Zach, talk to me about your pitching staff.
About my pitching staff or Henry Ford's?
Your pitching staff.
Pitching staff?
Yeah, your pitching staff.
We have this is in my opinion the best pitching staff we've had collectively as a group. We've had good arms in the past. But collectively as a group, sheer quote unquote numbers wise, this is our best staff we've had. We have 7 guys legitimately fighting for starting roles. I mean, legit. And so all 7 guys are going to throw for us. But 7 guys that are legit fighting for starting roles. We have 2 very, very good back-end guys. And then we have, what is that? We have 13 arms that I believe are. So about another 4, possibly 5 that are good caliber, long relief, short relief specialty guys. We have 13 arms that are viable arms for us this year. And then we have guys still developing. We have another, on top of those 13 arms, I think we have another 9 to 10 arms on our staff, if I'm remembering correctly. That's guys are developing. They're young guys, or they're guys coming off injuries, from a junior college or from a previous school. So, our staff, and it's a mixture of guys. We have crafty lefties and we have hard throwing righties. We don't have, I don't think we really have any lefty on our staff that's I would consider extremely hard thrower. Most of our lefties are crafty. But we have, 2019, was it? Yeah, 2019, we have our WAC pitcher of the year. He's a left-hander for us. He's back. Quote unquote, if you want to call him our ace, you could do that. But at the end of the day, I don't really. I'm more of a matchup kind of guy. It's not like our ace is going to start, game 1 Saturday every single weekend. If I think he's a better matchup on Sunday, or I want him to throw on Sunday next weekend, we're going to quote unquote do that. So we don't necessarily have an ace, but we have him, and he's crafty lefty. Our World Series MVP is a hard throwing righty. He's back. He's a junior. The crafty lefty's a senior. We have 2 guys from your program that are fighting for 2 starting jobs, Jacob Henry and Palmerville. Palmerville is more of a hard-throwing righty. Jacob Henry, I would say, is not necessarily a crafty righty, but he's a guy that works his off-speed a little bit more than Palmerville. Palmerville was a little more, a guy that wants to live with a fastball. Let's see. We have a.
Let me ask you this real quick, Zach. I'm sorry to interrupt. What goes into? But I want to say this before I forget it. What goes into like you matching up a pitcher on a certain day? Like if you're going into a weekend series, what goes into that?
Good question. So for me, it goes on past history. It goes on my scouting reports on the guy on that particular team. And what I mean by past history is that a coach that kind of I know what kind of recruits he brings in. I know his style of play, hit and run kind of guy that likes to run a little bit. Guys that like to bunt. And what kind of offense are they projecting each year? Are they kind of offense that lives and dies, but by the long ball, they put a lot of balls in the air. Are they more contact hitting team? My crafty lefty, not a high strikeout kind of guy, but keeps hitters off balance. And he does very, very well against very good hitting teams. Does extremely well against them. He doesn't do as well against teams that I consider not as strong at the plate. Lower average kind of guy, not guys that would struggle a little bit more with velocity. His craftiness wouldn't fool them as much as it does good hitters, in my opinion. So matchups like that, and I have certain guys on the mound that aren't very quick to the plate. And if we're facing a team, if they're scheduling, they threw Saturday and next Saturday is a team that runs a little bit, I'm not throwing him. We're not going to get beat up on the base pass, even though I think he's a good matchup against their hitters. Guys that get on, they're going to run like crazy. So you're going to throw against a team that doesn't run as much. Now we work on our guy. We try to make him better at getting quicker to the plate, but little things like that, like it's definitely a matchup play for me. I don't think most teams at our level, for the most part, don't have a Garrett Cole that doesn't matter who's in the other dugout. You're throwing him no matter what every single game. There's basically no weakness kind of deal. We have guys that I think are very, very good, but they have tendencies where they could get beat with certain things, and I'm going to use my baseball IQ and put them in the best situation to win.
Matt, talk to me about Henry Ford's pitching staff. And you guys have you guys have had some big arms come out of there recently. And you guys seem to have a lot of depth too. So talk to me about, who you guys are recruiting, what your staff looks like, all that stuff.
Yes. I mean, well, they're still there now, especially with COVID. We have an ace. Honestly, he's going to throw first game every weekend, Andrew Severini. I love the kid. His work ethic is unlike any others. I've only seen another pitcher really work as hard as him, and he got drafted and is still playing in the major leagues right now. See him,
Who's that?
Oh, Anthony Bass. Anthony Bass, best pitcher I ever played with. His work ethic. Again, when we were hanging out at the baseball house, he was out running miles. So that was a difference between a pro work ethic and just somebody who wanted to have fun in college. Andrew Severini is that type of guy. He really pushes our whole pitching staff. He came in he took a year off and then came in as a freshman this past year and really took our pitching staff by storm on how he worked hard. Everybody really adopted his work ethic. So our number 1 and 2, I would say, are similar, but similar built. But AJ Riddle is our number 2 guy. I would say he could be our 2 to 4, really. Depending on how the weekend matches up, just like Zach was kind of saying. He's 6'4", 235, really throws a hard moving fastball. Fastball moves like 6 inches, so he's very, very hard to hit. Number 3 or 4 guy could be, TJ Pakova, same 6'4", 225, really mid-80s type of guy. Could throw submarine, 3/4, can throw strikes. Then our the last guy, 2 through 4 guy, depending on the matchups, is Jacob Way. He's crafty lefty. He can throw 4 pitches for strikes, which I love about him, and he's just a student of the game. So our pitching staff, I feel like, can really match up against anybody in our conference. And those are our starters, but then we have some other guys that can compete for the starting role, and they're definitely going to get a chance. But even last year, our middle and late relief guys, we had our reliever was throwing, he topped out at 98 miles an hour. He left us this year, but, I understand he wanted to go to another program, which I definitely understand. But at the same time, for us last year, he really just blew a lot of people away. He got up on the mound and just threw as hard as he could. Biggest thing was with him was about throwing strikes. Our middle reliever guys, they're younger, but then we have an older guy who has really helped carry us along and helping them understand what it takes to be a reliever. He's not a hard thrower, but I say he's somewhat of a crafty righty, meaning he could throw 3 or 4 pitches for strikes, which we need. And if we need him to throw 5 innings, if we need him to throw 1, if we need him to start a game, he's willing to do it. And his heart is really, I feel like it's almost like the heart of our team because he's just a team guy. And that's what we need from all of our guys. And we have a few younger lefties who I feel are going to make an impact for us. But the biggest thing is, with being young guys coming in, it's tough to really take on the college atmosphere and throw strikes. Beginning of the season, it was a little difficult for them. But then as the season went on, we start putting them in key situations to really see what they can do. And, one of our lefties who really came in a key situation, bottom of the 7th or top of the 7th, we're up by 1, bases loaded, 2 outs, got the full count, ended up striking the guy out. That really showed heart in what he could do. And then we have a few transfers that came in from one came in from Madonna Dillon, who really wanted to come in and really just try and help stabilize things. He's really just coming off an injury and helping, and he just needs a little help to get back to where he wants to be. But all in all, I would say I feel we should have one of the better pitching staffs in our conference because of the work we put in and how we're recruiting coming up this year.
So let me ask both you guys this question, and then I want to move on after this. But starting with you, Zach, what are some basic characteristics you're looking for when you're recruiting a pitcher? You're going out to see a guy. You're showing up, maybe an hour early. You're going to see him work out, you know what I mean, how he goes through his routine. And then for however long you stay, maybe stay 2, 3, 4 innings, whatever. What are you looking for out of the pitcher?
You spoke on, or you touched on, and the first thing, watching the routine, watching who he is as a ball player and as a person. Is he a guy that's kind of has an aura or presence about him before he's stepping on the mound? Is he getting after it, or is he kind of just a guy that's going to show up and grab the ball and just walk on the mound type deal? So pre-pitch stuff, pre-game stuff is something that I definitely look for. Another thing before he even steps on the mound is how is he in the dugout? Is he now I'm not expecting him if he's throwing that day, but if it's a day that he's not throwing, is he a guy that's into the game? Is he a guy watching things, kind of raising his baseball IQ to maybe taking notes on hitters in his own mind type deal, rooting on his brothers, rooting on teammates. So I'm looking at that as well. But plain and simple, when he's on the mound, the thing that I look for is I'll get right behind home plate, and if I want to hit off of him, he's not a pitcher for me. If I look at it's that simple for me. If I stand behind home plate and I'm like, dang, I don't want to touch this guy. I wouldn't want to be in the box right now. I want him. That's the guy I want.
Does he make you uncomfortable? Yep.
It's that simple. Is he a guy that, watching his presence, looking at him on the mound, can I visually imagining myself in the box? Am I wanting to be standing there? Am I licking my chops like, okay, that's it? Or am I a guy like, dang it, I got to face him today?
All right, Matt. And Matt, you probably did more pitching than any of us did over the course of our careers. What are you looking for when you looking at a pitcher? looking to get recruited, what are some characteristics that you like?
So it's very rare. So I'm gonna go with just the stud, right? I mean, if you, I kind of was talking about this earlier. If you make it to play college athletics, you're a stud. Period. So I don't want people to think that because you go Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCO, whatever school you go to, you are a stud first and foremost. And if you want to be that stud, you can be that. Okay. So what I look for is how they approach their pregame, meaning if they're, and it kind of goes to back what Zach was saying. If someone just walks up to the field with their hat on backwards, wearing some sandals and with some earbuds in, with their shirt untucked, looking to just go right on the mound, that's probably not a guy that I want around my team, because I know they're going to bring down the caliber of, one, of professionalism, two, the character, three, they're not going to push our guys to want to be better. Okay, those are main characteristics. But the most important thing, especially at the JUCO level, is can they control the strike zone? I don't care. Honestly, I personally don't care if they can throw 90 miles an hour. I don't care if they can throw 85 miles an hour. I want to know, if I have a spot, can you hit it? That is the hardest thing about pitching, is being able to control what you can throw. If you can throwing a ball 82 miles an hour on the outside black is harder to hit than throwing it right down the middle at 90. And people really don't understand that. And people feel like, oh, they have to hit a certain mile an hour to even be considered a good or elite pitcher. Not at all. I want the guy that can control that fastball on the black, that can throw a change up in the same spot, that can throw a slider or a curveball in the same spot to make it deceiving. So that is a huge thing. And I kind of go back to how I used to pitch, because I pitched in when I was in JUCO. Like, I topped out at 83 maybe when I was going into college, and then I built up from there. But I was able to throw 4 pitches per strikes, and understanding how you can keep hitters off balance is key. And it's funny how I look back on, or look at the game nowadays. All the kids think about is, I just want to hit a fastball 1,000 feet, versus I just want to hit it solid at a certain spot. And if you put a certain pitch in a certain spot, they're probably not going to hit it. So pitchers who can really hit their spots are way more valuable than a guy who's going to throw 90 to 95 right down the middle.
And one thing when you're hitting your spots like that and changing speeds, is it's not even always about getting a swing and miss. You don't always even need a swing and miss. It's just about getting the guy off balance a little bit and missing barrel.
Right. Even with that keeps your teammates engaged, right? And that's what I loved about pitching. I wasn't a strikeout guy, right? I got out of I was able to I was able to do that, and I love pitchers who are able to do this. Is that to keep hitters off balance, and 2 is really keeping your hitters off keeping your teammates in the game. My favorite pitcher, probably not my favorite pitcher ever, but my favorite pitcher to watch was Doug Fister. Doug Fister would get on the mound. He was a pitcher for the Tigers. Back when we had a really, really, really good pitching staff. But when he got on the mound, I wanted to watch that game, even more than Verlander, even more than Scherzer, right? I wanted to watch Doug Fister pitch, because he got the ball, got back on the mound, looked back, make sure his team was ready, and then he pitched the ball, right? And his games were shorter than anybody else's on our pitching staff, because, one, it kept the defense engaged, and he knew what his defense could do. And that's what one thing, even taking it another step, understanding the backside of the game. There's so many aspects of the game, but Doug Fister, I would enjoy going back to watching a Doug Fister game when watching him pitch. He was just great to watch.
All right, so before we move on to the next thing here, just real quick to wrap up talking about the fall. Just both of you, real quick, give me a highlight from the fall. Matt, give me your number one highlight from fall ball this year.
So we're down in. There's so many. I am going to, oh man. So this is off the cuff, right? Like I have a few that I want to bring up, but I'm just going to say this. My guy, Justin Shire, hitting a bomb off of Lords to tie the game in like the 5th inning.
Shout out Justin Shire.
Yeah, it was huge. It was huge for him. And he hit it right-handed. So I could tell it meant a lot for him, and we got the ball. I made sure that one of the boys went and got the ball and gave it to him. And, like, he told me my mom was going to cry because, she wasn't here, and 2, that you got the ball for me. And sure enough, I saw her, like, the following weekend at our last game, and she said she cried. So that was definitely probably the highlight for me. I have some more, but, like, right now, that is it.
Justin Shire was on that original 2010 Metro Detroit team too.
Yeah, yes, he was. And now I'm coaching him in college. Who would have thought it?
All right, Zach, what about yours?
I don't know if I necessarily have a specific play or moment. I would just say the amount of baseball we got in this fall. I think it was more than at least everybody that I've talked to. We got in more baseball than anybody else. 6 days a week, and we started the first day of school and went all the way our normal fall amount of weeks, and I mean we got after it. So to me, that was a highlight this fall is the amount of baseball we got in under this, pandemic.
Yeah, I'm jealous, man. We're only able to do 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and then we had to shut it down Friday through Sunday. If we didn't have a game. And then when we had a game, we had to shut it down another day during the week. So it was definitely tough, man. I'm jealous for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely our highlight.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, top 4 baseball players of all time.
Oh man.
We're going there,
Wow.
man. We're going there.
What a question.
We're doing this. We're really doing this.
We're doing this.
Oh man.
I think I'm gonna make some people mad with mine.
Okay, hey, hold on. Of that I saw play, or are we going history?
History.
Jeez.
Your top 4 guys, man.
Out of mad respect and everything that he went through, Jackie Robinson's on there. I mean, there's just, I mean, he may not be the best stats guy, but I mean, he's up there in stats, obviously.
He is up there in stats, and he only played, I think, like 11 years.
Yeah, he's definitely on my list. I got to go with my ultimate hero. He might not be on anybody else's list, but Cal Ripken Jr. He's mine. He was my hero day in and day out. Hank Aaron has to be there. Gosh, I got one more. Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Ken Griffey. Shoot, I mean Bonds is even up there. I don't even know. Out of all those names, you pick one kind of deal.
All right, man. Yours.
Oh man, it's tough. Jackie's definitely up there. Ty Cobb is up there.
Oh, that's another good one.
So I feel like they're in the league of their own. Though it's hard to pick 4. It is really hard to pick 4 guys, right? I feel like Hank Aaron has to be up there. Yep. I mean, to hit that many home runs for as long as he did, like, who can do that, right? Yep. So the last spot, and I feel like I don't think anybody is ever going to have this guy in the top 4. And that's why I said I feel like I'm going to make some people mad. But
bro, these are your top 4. These are your top 4. So.
But I don't care if I make people mad. But I'm picking him because what I saw him do for the game.
Who?
Was Ozzie Smith.
Oh, Ozzie Smith.
Ozzie Smith is my, like, the wizard. Like, the way he plays shortstop, he motivated me. First, for like the guys who, so I was a shortstop, right? The guys I really look up to, Ozzie Smith, Omar Vizquel, and Jimmy Rollins. Like, those are the guys that I mimicked my game to be after, right? Like, that's the reason I like, one of the reasons why I wore number 1, because I wanted to be like Ozzie. I felt like I was half as good as Omar Vizquel and Jimmy Rollins, right? I wore number 1 in college just for those guys. So, and like his backflip, just like, all right, he's there. You know what I'm saying? He's ready to play. And like, I which is funny is that you asked this question. I actually recently just, like, I was sitting down in the basement or something. My wife's sitting next to me, like, you know, going through Pinterest or something or whatever. So I pull up just some videos of Ozzie again and like the greatest plays he made, which he made them look easy.
Same. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he made all of those plays look like they were routine. And like, I didn't realize, like, I knew he was good, right? Growing up, I knew he was good. But Ozzie Smith, the way he played the game was just so effortless that I want anybody that I coach to be half as good as he is, especially on the defensive end. You know, offensively, you know, right? He put the ball in play, he did his job. But that defensive side is what I feel like is a true calling, because I'm a defensive first type of guy.
Remember that play he made for the Padres in his younger days where he went arm side, dove barehanded, got up, threw it out on that one hop?
But like, the funny thing
is,
yes, but that was on turf, bro. That was on turf. That's when the turf was concrete. It was a carpet on top of concrete. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you didn't know how that ball was going to bounce. That's just pure athleticism. That's just pure reaction. And like, so many plays that you have to make. Like, I feel like it's honestly probably harder to field, not harder, but a little harder to field on that turf, because if it gets some top spin on you, it can really shoot up.
It's gonna go.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously, it can shoot over your head on a regular ground ball straight to you.
So,
and then, I mean, the way you played the game, man, I love it.
Zach, who's the guy that you emulated growing up? Like, who's the guy who you're like, all right, I want to kind of move like this guy, have his actions, be like him?
Well, Cal was my hero. I'm not necessarily going to say I emulated Cal, but Cal was my hero. So that's why I wore number 8. But you know, one player we forgot, and he's playing right now, is Trout. That boy can play.
Yeah, he's up there.
He can go.
But I can't give him the top 4 right now because his career's not over. And that's, honestly, I hate to say it, that's why Griffey's not in my top 4, because he got hurt, man. Like, I'm thinking longevity as well when I think career, right? Like, you can say what he did in like the 14, 15 years he played, but the fact that Ken Griffey got hurt, it definitely hurt him. But, I mean, there's so many guys that we left off that list, man, that we could just run down, you know, that really, I feel like, transcended the game. Because Griffey's one of those guys, too.
Trout's projected, though, to basically beat every record right now, I think. Zach got booted off or something. His screen. Who's the guy that you emulated? Like, who would you say your number 1 guy in terms of actions and
So, growing up, I'll say defensively Omar Vizquel for sure, because he was the guy that was on the screen right then and there when I saw it. Like, so they showed his pregame routine. I tried to do his pregame routine. He did this, look, throwing, like, just quick hands drill. I tried to do that quick hands drill. But what's funny is that, as Tim, you probably don't even remember this. I used to try and hit one, like a few guys. One was Mickey Tettleton. I don't even know if you remember that summer.
Dude, I don't remember you doing that, but I know I used to do that. Bro, Mickey Tettleton, that was my guy.
That was the summer. I think it was our 12U summer. It might even before. I think it was 11U summer. I hit like Mickey Tettleton, and that was like the most doubles I ever hit in that summer. All right, and then I'm going backyard. I'm going straight backyard. Joshua Will Wallace backyard. Juan Gonzalez.
Let's go.
I would straight up hit like Juan Gonzalez. I would have my arms all the way up here, and it just felt easy. It felt like whoever would try to throw me, the tennis curveball that used to try to get by me. I mean, you used to get me with the knuckles sometimes, but we're not even going to get into that. We're not going
to get into that. that's going down a different direction.
But needless to say, it just like the bat path felt so easy when the Juan Gonzalez, when I had that Juan Gonzalez going.
So one of the reasons why I asked who you guys' top four is because I wanted to get a gauge of the type of player you had in there. Because I want to ask, you guys are going into you guys are both college coaches. You guys both see playoff baseball. You see league play baseball. These games that you have to win, that you have to get the W in. It's win or go home. It's a series game. What are the strengths that you want in your team? What's the number one thing that you want in your team? Is it pitching? Is it offense? Or is it defense? What does it come down to?
I mean, it's funny that you bring that up. So the type of coach I am is pitching and defense.
I'm asking for one.
It starts with pitching. It has to. Like you can't do anything. If you can hit like crazy, but you can't stop anybody from hitting, then it doesn't matter. Everything starts with pitching, right? You can never have too many arms. So that's why I have to bring up the second, which is defense. Because a lot of coaches, I'm not going to say a lot, I feel like certain coaches look at, wanting to get the big boppers and the guys who can hit it a mile. I don't want that. Like, I want the guy who is willing to die for that ball in the gap, even though they know they're not going to get it, right? Because you don't know if you're not going to get it until you try. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is key to me. Like, one thing I always preach, we will never penalize aggression. That is our motto on our team. You ask anybody on our team, I would never penalize aggression. Never penalize aggression. If you round that first base hard and you see that guy bobble in center field and you don't take second base, I'm probably going to yell at you. I'm probably going to get on your case. Why aren't you taking second base? You know what I'm saying? If you get thrown out, that's okay, right? Could it be a rally killer? Maybe, but that's going to be our motto. That's going to be our mentality, is that we're going to be aggressive on these base paths, right? Like, one of our games this year, we legit had 22 stolen bases in one game against Lords. It was insane. I wish Zach was on this call. We stole 22 bags in one game. It was crazy.
Zach is on this call.
Is he back?
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
Back
Oh,
on
okay.
for the past 5 minutes.
Oh, my bad, Zach. I didn't know you were back. But we stole 22 bags against Lords. But everybody in the stadium knew that we were stealing. You know what I'm saying? But they couldn't stop it. Yeah, they could not stop it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like, they whatever they could do, they couldn't stop us. I mean, it was frustrating that we couldn't just get that one hit to get them in. We got on base, stole second. Like, half the time the guy stole third, but we just couldn't get that either key, put him in play, get that button down. We couldn't get that one play in. We lost both games against Lords, but they were hard-fought games, and especially, we put everybody in. So we weren't there just to win. We were there to develop our guys. And, I mean, everybody got in. Whoever we got on base was stealing, period.
Hopefully you get to win this spring.
Yeah, no, that's the goal. And that's why I'd rather us play against teams that we know we expect to lose. I'm not going to say expect to lose, but that should beat us, right? So they know what their caliber can be. And so this past fall, we actually had a game scheduled against Eastern Kentucky University. And that was going to be one of the first Division I programs that we had on our docket. But with COVID, it got canceled. And and if we were full strength, I know we would have competed, but that would have shown a lot of the guys who are, from Heartland, Michigan, from, Jackson, from north of Lansing, who came to our school, who really never would have thought that they would have been on the same field as some Division I athletes like Eastern Kentucky, right? I'm sure some of those guys are probably going to play professional baseball somewhere, but and seeing them compete against them would have been a great thing to see. So we definitely always want to push the boundaries to just, I would never penalize aggression. I would never penalize you thinking that you're going to get that extra bag and getting that extra bag. So, I mean, those are a few things, but definitely got a lot coming up here in the this coming up season.
All right, Zach, pitching, defense, or offense?
Pitching. Pitching wins.
Why?
Pitching wins. I mean, like Matt said, it starts with pitching. I think it ends with pitching. Guy with a buzzsaw can stop a good offense. If you asked yourself, whatever the 5 best arms in the MLB are for you, those are your 5 starters, and then you take, the 5 best relievers and you put those guys against the 9 best position players, who do you think's going to win? My bet's on the pitching.
So why wasn't a team like the 2012 Tigers able to get over the hump?
Okay, now you're asking for individual. In my opinion, you ask for a statistical preference: pitching, defense, or offense.
Yeah.
Right? There's more to team. There's more to putting a ring on your finger than just having an overall talented group. And I preach this day in and day out. There's an intangible that's even more important than pitching, defense, and offense. And that's chemistry.
What would you say it is?
That's chemistry, unity, a bond, all those words combined. And it stems into making a culture of a program. Professional baseball proves it time and time again. You can buy all the talent you want. It'll win you games, but it won't put a ring on your finger. There's something greater than that. There's something that will beat talent at the end of the day. And that's a team that's, unified, moving together on the same bus in the same direction. A brotherhood, if you will. I mean, it'll beat talent. It'll beat talent.
How do you build chemistry on a team and in a program?
Great question. It stems from, first of all, recruiting or bringing in the guys into your program, whether it's, purchasing them, like at the professional level, or recruiting them at our level, bringing in guys that are like-minded individuals that believe in what your culture is, what you're, in essence, telling them what your program's about. And those guys will buy in, join, and hop on the bus. One bad egg, cancerous individual can ruin a culture, can ruin team chemistry for the year. And I look back at our national championship team in 2019, and I think every single guy in that roster would say overall our talent was not as good as even the year before when we made the World Series. But we had so much better chemistry. It was ridiculous. And I think even the team the year before that would say that. Would know, yeah, we lost because we weren't unified. We weren't together. We weren't selfless. At the end of the day, when you have an individual that doesn't matter if he goes 0 for 4 with 4 Ks, if he found a way to help his team get a W on the scoreboard, and he's leaving home, or he's leaving the field happy about that, that's a group of those individuals will beat talent. They'll beat talent.
Let me ask you this. So once you got your recruit in there, like, you're going out, you're recruiting high character guys, you're talking to people, you're talking to parents, you're talking to coaches, you're vetting the players. Once you get your player in your program, what are some things that you're doing as a coach to try to develop chemistry throughout a season? And because I feel like that's just as much of a tool as arm strength or whatever you want, So what are some techniques that you do to develop chemistry?
First of all, you communicate it. Communicate your vision. Communicate where you want this team to go. Communicate your culture. Preach it. Live it. Be the example. And do things that raise their awareness of it. We do a lot of team meetings from a standpoint, but we watch motivational videos. We watch positivity videos. I send them text messages weekly, basically every other day of things that preach on how to be a better teammate, how to be a better, person in general. What great teammates do versus just mediocre teammates, stuff you have to communicate it and you have to live it. Then on top of that, you got to reiterate, the family atmosphere. And how we do that is we do a lot of team bonding stuff, movie nights, laser tag, amusement parks, Tigers game, Lions game. Now with COVID, things have been different this fall, unfortunately, but we're still doing some of that stuff. But normally in the fall, we're doing all those things. And we do that throughout the year. And then our strength program, our practices, there's no separation. We're unified. We're in our strength program together. We're swimming, yoga, lifting. Everything's together. Speed and agility. Everything's together to help guys learn how to motivate each other, how to push one another, to make each other better. Competition breeds excellence. You got to live it. You can't just say it once and expect it to happen. It's consistent communication on this is our culture, this is who we are, and this is where the bus is going. You're either on the bus or you're not.
Yeah, I mean that's so important, and that's very evident with your teams. What do you do if you got a guy who isn't buying in?
Great question. I've made mistakes in the past. I've tried to, I tried to believe that they would change, and you continue to speak with them. You try to get them to buy in. All right, you don't just cut ties right away. You try and change that individual, but eventually, if they don't, you gotta cut ties. You have to. It's that important for your team.
Right. Matt, what do you do if you got a guy who isn't buying into the program?
Same thing. We've had that where, like, they think they know. Like junior college it's a little different from a 4-year program. 4-year programs, you have to meet an academic standard to really get in. Henry Ford, in order to get into Henry Ford Community College, you don't have to have a minimum academic standard. Okay. But once you hit your first actual season of ball, you definitely need to make sure you are at a standard academically to make sure you're eligible. Okay. So a lot of times we get phone calls, we get follow-ups that, hey, XYZ didn't come to class today. Okay. Well, first off, you're out for a week. Okay. I mean, it's pretty much like a 3 strikes you're out approach. Hey, man, you have to go to class. You have to do this. You have to do that. And it's not just about class. It's about whatever it is. Okay. If you're disrespecting your teammates, if you're disrespecting the coaches, if you're disrespecting the program, that's a strike as well. So what's very important is that everybody's on the same page, because everybody's getting the same communications as everybody else. So everybody has the same expectations. And if you're not hitting them, then you have to be gone. One thing that we actually like to do is really, just pretty much sit a guy. Like, we expect you to show up, but you're going to sit right there and you're going to watch. And even if somebody does something, we're punishing the whole team and making that one person watch the team go through the punishment that you actually committed. Like, that is something that I've noticed kind of hit hard, with some of the guys that actually caused the infractions. Like, coach, I will never do that again. I apologize. And they apologize to the team without even us asking them to apologize. So it's really showing character after the point. But, if you're not buying in, then there's no reason for you to even be there. Like, we give everybody the opportunity to either you're buying in or you're not. If you're not, then don't show up. So if you're continuously showing up, then that means you're attempting to buy in. Okay. But then even at that point, we're still think that you're not buying in, then you're going to sit down right here. Because I'm not like, I'm not, we've gotten guys who, I'm not going to say they are at risk, but they are, you know, if they're not playing college baseball, then who knows what they're going to be. You know, I've had a few guys tell me on my team, like, Coach, if I wasn't on this team, I don't know where I would be right now. Meaning they're probably going to be in their home, doing drugs, doing something that just isn't right for them, you know? And the fact that they're open enough to tell me, Coach, you're saving my life right now. Like, this team is saving my life. And if they don't buy in right then at that moment, it's hard for me to just kick a guy like that to the curb and hope that they find and figure it out, you know? So one thing that we really like to do is just, okay, you're showing up, but you're sitting right there. You're going to watch. And when the game's over, you're
like a
sweeping the field.
timeout.
Right. It is a timeout. It is a timeout. You're cleaning the field. You're doing all the dirty work that I know you don't want to do. You're good enough to play. You're good enough to play. You could be a starter, but your attitude and everything that you've done up until this point has gotten you in this quote unquote timeout. So, like we run the gamut from, private school guys to guys who barely made it and got their GED and who are coming in who just really want to play. So like it's really, really tough. And we kind of try and walk that line, but our upperclassmen are the individuals who really help us keep everything in order. Because, half the time they're not around us. We're only with them at practice. I'm sure they go over each other's houses. I'm sure, well, during COVID, who knows what they do. But, I mean, when without COVID, they go over each other. They hang out all the time. And we want that from their team. But the upperclassmen guys are the ones who are really keeping things in order and in check to help us figure out, okay, what do you think, man? Like, where are we at? Like, does he even deserve another chance? Like, how are things in the clubhouse? And really having a close tie with the upperclassmen and the captains really help.
And getting feedback, having guys that are fully bought in, obviously allows coaches to keep a good temperature of what's going on. All right, I want to switch gears over to base running. Zach, give a slow base runner advice.
The best thing that I can say is raise your baseball IQ from a base running standpoint. Understand that quickest way to A to B is a straight line. So from a base running standpoint, when you leave the plate, you should be expecting a single into double into triple, and so forth. And your rounds have to be as precise as you can make them. Speed doesn't necessarily make you a good base runner. It's understanding and it's practicing it. Harold Reynolds, I listened to talk, and he was a phenomenal base runner. There was at the ABCA, I heard him talk, and he spoke heavily on base running. That was his topic. And one thing that he said was different than how the game is played now is a lot of kids, they're practicing base running. Their practice of base running is a slow jog around the bases, like they just a trot, like they just hit a home run. They did a lot more base running back when Harold was playing. And like yours and my last talk, Mac, about pickles, just playing pickles or pick up baseball in the backyard. A slow base runner, or if you're a slow runner, you just got to learn how to become a better base runner. I mean, it's that simple. It's on my way to first base. All right, I'm gonna make, and whether you have to make a banana or an arc or however you want to call it, you still want that to be the shortest possible. The guys that make this huge question mark or huge banana around first base to go to second, those are wasted steps. Use the athleticism that you have and try and cut that corner as quick as possible and get in a straight line going to second base. Then you do it again from second to third, and then third to home. Practice base running. When guys are taking BP or guys are hitting live, whatever it may be, get on the base pass and work. Every single practice of ours, we work on base running. It's something that, just like hitting, just like playing catch, just like pitching, you got to practice to become better at it. You can't just – to me, that's one of the intangible, the little things, small things win championships. And base running is one of those small things that I just don't think individuals or teams practice it enough.
Can a slow guy steal bags?
100% intelligent.
How does he do it?
For me, stealing bases is an art form. You got to become a better artist. How you become a better artist is you pick up on tendencies. You really pay attention to the game. You raise your baseball IQ. All pitchers have some sort of tendency, one way or another. A lot of guys, look at, the front foot when they're stealing bases, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of old school, a lot of the old school ball players preach that. My father preaches that. To me, before you get on the base, you should be studying a pitcher. And how I look at pitchers, I'm studying like their core. And out of my peripherals, then I can see their whole body to try and see if I pick up something that moves first. Some guys' front shoulder moves first. Some guys, it's a buckle of the knee. Some guys, it is their front foot. There's certain tendencies that you can pick up, but you need to be paying attention to that before you're even on base. If you're just now trying to do that on base, you've already lost. You shouldn't be stealing, unless you're going to rely on your speed there. So you pick up on tendencies and try and work your way into a good running situation. Also, from my standpoint over, coaching third, I watch pitchers sequences or catcher sequences and try and run in not necessarily a hitter's count or a pitcher's count. It's an off-speed count. I'm trying to, they're going off speed here. Good time to run, whether it be fast runner, slow runner, or it be. Also, pitchers have tendencies where not anytime a guy's on, they're not always slide step. There's once in a while they'll throw in a high leg kick because they want to get some umph on the ball. That's a good time to run. So if you pick up on intensity, he only goes high leg kick when, he's throwing a fastball. He's trying to muster up one and blow one by him. I'm going to run, on this next fastball count because I think he's going to go high leg kick. So it's just raising your baseball IQ. It's an art form. Become a better artist. And you got to do that in practice and when you're watching the game, not just when you're on first base. First, second.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys miss that opportunity to really raise their baseball IQ. Instead of they're in the moment, but they're not really in. Being in the moment is also as soon as you show up to a baseball field and when that guy is warming up, right? You can see how they're probably going to pitch when they're going from the stretch and they're throwing their first ball in the first inning when they're throwing down to the catcher and the guy's going to second base. You are 100% right about that. And I was going to add, I was fast, but I really didn't understand how to steal until very late in my career. And I would do my best in stealing in off-speed counts. That was either I'm going on the first pitch or I'm going in an off-speed count, right? And those were huge opportunities to really get easy stolen bases on pitchers. And then I'll even add to how to become a good base runner is learning those angles. It is huge when, like you said, rounding the bag. To me, hitting that inside part of the bag, the part of the bag that's closest to the pitcher's mound, you have to hit that every single time when you're going on no matter what no matter which bag you're at, you have to hit the bag that's closest to the pitcher's mound to be able to push off and get that good trajectory going to second base. And even if you feel like that ball is a triple, then you might even have to angle out a little bit more to make sure you hit that bag on that good angle to go towards third. So say, for instance, to make it as simple as possible, if I feel like this is a double, I have to hit first base on the angle that's closest, on the angle of the bag that's closest towards hit first base on the angle of the bat that's closest towards the pitcher's mound. If I think it's a triple, I have to hit second base on the angle of the bag that I feel like is closest towards the pitcher's mound. right? So, and even going from second to home or first to third or, whatever base you feel like you're going to go is the base prior to that you have to hit the bag on the inner part of that's closest towards the mound. And then getting that angle, getting that good round going towards the bag, going towards that next base. Like those things are so crucial that you don't even realize until you're actually in it. And I'm glad you brought up the count, Zach, because those are huge, man. Like, especially big leg kick and then throwing a curveball. Any decently fast runner, a guy like Tim who runs like a 8-flat 60 can steal second base.
8-flat 60 guy. Yeah, right.
No,
maybe now.
It is crucial. The inside part of the bag, it is crucial. Now, a lot of coaches too preach that you should hit that with your outside leg, and I agree. But at the same time, I'm not gonna, a guy shouldn't be thinking about that in the moment. Use your athleticism. If you slow up to hit the inside part of the bag with your outside leg, like that's costing you a step. And this is a game of inches. You need every stride you possibly get.
For sure.
Keep your athleticism going, and if you're hitting the inside part of the bag with your inside leg, that's all right as long as you're in stride. Don't slow up to try and hit it with the outside bag, because now you're defeating the purpose. You cost yourself a step or two, and it was so important with rounds. I mean, think about how I preach to my guys. Think about how many times you've been hosed at a bag. I mean, and it was this close. Now, if you saved one step on a round, or hitting the inside part of one step anyway, you're safe. That's how important it is. 100%. So the best, it doesn't matter how fast you are. The best base runners, in my opinion, are much better than the guys that run 6'4" and aren't good base runners. I mean, it is an art that needs to be practiced, just like hitting, just like throwing, defensively, etc.
Did I bring up that? So I'm a guy. I feel, and again, it's not a end all be all. Like, I personally like my guy to have his outside foot hit the inside part of the back. Did I say that or no?
You didn't. But that's what made me think of it. Like,
yeah,
a lot of coaches preach that it should be the outside leg. But
I heard both though. I hear a lot of both. I hear a lot of both. Like, it was just funny. A lot of guys who are at Henry Ford right now is like, oh, coach, I was taught the inside part. I'm like, fine, if that's what you naturally get to at your point. Yep. But which is weird. Whenever I ran, I got my I don't know what it was. I just got my outside foot on that inside part of the bag, and I felt like they gave me more extension off of the bag to push off to go towards second. Which, again, I'm not gonna say, oh no, you're wrong. I'm just gonna say, this is what I prefer, but then at the same time, definitely use your athleticism.
Yep. Don't slow yourself up. Is really what it is. Stay in stride, and if you're in stride, you hit it with the inside leg, fine. If you hit it with the outside leg, even better, because I think that's the way it should. But keep your athleticism and stay in stride. Do not slow up.
Right.
So, Matt, let me ask you this: you're a fast runner. It's a speed versus a high level pitcher on the mound. I want you thinking Dave Roberts against Mariano Rivera type, where everybody knows you're stealing. You got a big lead off. He picks over a couple times. What are your tells? And it's just a straight stolen bag. What are your tells to get that jump, to get that split section, that hair, to get in there safe?
So if it's a guy that I've never faced before, right? If it's a guy that, I was a leadoff guy. So if and again, I will always try to look at how their warm-up throw was to the plate when they're going to second base, when they're from the wind or when they're from the stretch. So if this is the first time that I'm seeing them, I would just look at the back foot. I was a back foot guy if it's a righty. So if they lift up that right leg, then I knew they were coming over to first base. If they moved, and so if they didn't lift that right leg, so they moved their whole body and they moved that. If they moved their knee, then that meant that they're going home. But if they moved their back leg, their back heel, then I knew they were coming to first base. So that was literally the only thing I focused on. Like, so I just looked at their back leg, pay attention. I had my certain stance, and I would try to make sure I looked like I wasn't going to steal. Like, I had a stance that, okay, he's just relaxing right now, but I'm stealing. Okay, everybody in the ballpark knew I was stealing, and I would steal. So that back leg to me was so important that that I would just try and watch. So if the lefty's up, I would honestly I would go on first movement, and it's really kind of knowing the tendencies, kind of how Zach was talking about. Like, I would kind of know the tendencies of that pitcher, especially at Wayne State. The longer I was in that conference, I kind of got to understand on how all of the pitchers would pick off when they would pick off. So that really wasn't an issue for me. So I would make sure I would try kind of look at their tendencies to see where they were going. So one thing, and if I was trying to read, I would look at their shoulders. So if a lefty was come up, turn their shoulders towards first base, then they're coming towards you. But if they come up and then they just go towards home, then I knew they were going towards home. But if I felt like I needed to get that extra step to make sure I made it to second base, I would go on first movement. But, if I was playing now, like, I would definitely cheat as much as I possibly can, because I know I lost at least 17 steps trying to steal a bag.
Zach, let me ask you this. What do you teach your base runners with a lefty? What do you teach them with stealing a bag on a straight steal versus stealing a bag on a hit and run with a left-handed pitcher?
So from our side of things with the lefty on the mound, we're going first movement until they can prove to me that they're a reader. And what I mean by reader is they come high crane and they see a runner going and they can adjust and throw to first base without balking, which, some pitchers can do, but they're in my opinion, they're few and far between. Most pitchers are predetermined whether they're going to pick or not, and they have tendencies on when they do it and so forth. And in my opinion, it does depend on the umpires too, because a lot of times a guy that isn't a reader still will try and come over, and it's a balk move all the time, and good umpires will see it accordingly. But again, that's discretion of an umpire. It is what it is. But we're going first movement. Just like we would on a right-hander. Now, on a hit and run, where you don't need your best job, you're relying on your brother to do his job at the plate. So you're making sure he goes to the plate. As soon as he goes to the plate, then you're off. Really, it's just getting you in motion. I don't run a lot of hit and runs with left-handers on the mound, in my personal opinion. But it does depend. It does depend on the game situation. It does depend on who's at the plate, who my runner is, how the pitcher's been doing. There's a lot of factors that go into that. But I like to run, and I think why Matt brought up the 22 steals against Lords. I mean, we run and run and run and run. We would like to put the pressure on the defense, whether we're stealing second or stealing third. We stole home in 2019. We stole home 4 times. We were 4 for 4 on stealing home. There's something else we practice. So we like to run. But we try and we practice it to raise our intelligence of it. Now, I agree with Matt. Like, I'm never gonna be against aggressive base running. Guy bobbles it for sure. Take the next bag. Take the lead bag. 90 feet is huge. I preach 90 feet. And same thing defensively. Don't give up 90 feet. Now, but there's an intelligence to it. Some guys just think they try and they push the limits unintelligently, and that's when I have a problem. If you're doing it in a poor situation, or a bobble, base hit to right, guy's in shallow right field and he bobbles, and you just take off just because he bobbled. I mean, there's intelligence behind base running. So,
Zach, I'm so happy you brought that up. Yeah, you are 100% right, and I made that mistake my first year at Henry Ford in thinking when I said I will never penalize aggression, meaning they would make a smart decision no matter what the situation was. I'm going to bring this situation up to you, and you're going to be like, I can't believe this happened. Okay, so we're actually at St. Clair. St. Clair Community College. We're down by 2. Runner on first and second. No outs. Okay. 7th inning. Okay. We are Ryan Lentz gets walked. So we pitch ran for him. So we had one of our fast guys come in and pinch run, thinking that, all right, this is going to be a great situation for us. Okay. So then our next guy who comes up was our leadoff guy. Boom, hits a base hit to right field, which is the base hit was right to the right field, or not to right field, to left field. Okay. Directly to left field. Okay. So the guy who was on second base was running on first and second. So the guy who was on second base, I wave him home, and I'm like, yes. So I turn to look at home like, all right, we scored that run. I'm like, wait, the ball didn't even come home. I look back. The guy who was at first ran into the out, right? The guy in left field, like, picked up the ball, didn't even throw the ball in yet. He held the ball for a second, was like, this guy, like, kept going. So he just threw it to the third, and, like, he was out by, like, at least 25, 30 feet. So I was like, you have to be kidding me. You have to be. I was like, why did you think you could, like, there's no way you could have made it from first to third on a base hit to left field. It was straight to the left field. It wasn't like it was in the gap, any gap down the line. It wasn't none of that, right? He was like, Coach, I wanted to be aggressive. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And that's when I realized, okay, I gotta preach it different. And we lost that game by 1 run, right? We would have had first and second, no outs, right? And that just changed the whole dynamic of the game. And Kodke, the head coach of St. Clair, was like, dude, what happened on that play, man? I can't believe that happened. I didn't even know what I was watching when that guy tried to go from first to third on a base hit to left field when the play was right in front of him. It's not even I thought I could make it. It was just I'm just going to run just because I want to try and be the hero in that point, in that situation. And that made me change. I would never penalize smart aggression, right? I mean, I still say it, but now that was 2 years ago when the guy was just did it. They understand I would never penalize smart aggression. Yep. If they bobble it, they the ball goes by him, you definitely want to make that play, or you definitely want to take that extra base. So I'm glad you brought that up.
We preach it the most on ball and dirt reads. Ball and dirt reads, key opportunities to take 90 feet. But again, there's an intelligent way to go about those at second base. Every time they're on second, hey, looking for ball and dirt, but you got to be positive here. You're late in the game, you're a winning run, time run, whatever it may. You're already in scoring position. So I preach aggressive. I want you to take 90 feet, but you got to do it intelligently.
So we're all baseball guys. We've been in baseball professionally since we were done playing. We're all the same age, 33, 34 years old. So over the past 10, 11 years of you guys being in player development, of you guys being in coaching, Matt, I'll start with you. How do you feel that you've grown in that time as a coach? And please talk about from a baseball skills standpoint and also from your relationship with players standpoint.
So when I first came out, I was like a drill sergeant. I felt like I felt like all athletes should be able to do what I was able to do when I was 22, 23 years old, which is not true at all. Like, some of the kids that I trained when I was 22, 23 are now 22, 23. And they're like, Coach, you were nuts back then, right? You were just like, you were a drill sergeant. You pushed us to our limits, and they appreciated it. I'll give you. You remember Jalen? Oh, man, Jalen Smith. Tim, do you remember him? Dang, man. Is that
maybe? I don't know.
You remember Malcolm Harris? He's a Rosedale kid. He went to Tiffin and then came over to U of M Dearborn.
Kind of.
All right, but needless to say, So I trained Jalen and Malcolm. Jalen was like 14, 15. He was throwing like 85, 86 at that time, at 14, 15. And then Malcolm was like 12, 13, but he was like in the like low 80s. But then when I was continuously training him, he got up to like 86, 87, his junior year of high school. And then after he got done training with me, he went down to like 72. I don't know what happened to him. So, like my philosophy was, I'm going to push you until you're going to break. I don't care what happens. I'm going to push you until you're going to break. I didn't care who the athlete was. I didn't care what the outcome was. I didn't care if you came back to me, to train with me after that day. I knew I was going to push you to your breaking point. That's all I cared about. I was like, you're going to know what your breaking point is when you're training with me at that age. And so that mindset was almost like to be the remedy to what I missed out on when I was younger, because I knew I could have been pushed harder. And I didn't want these kids to feel like, oh, I did not get a certain amount of training from whomever I trained with. So from my tough love, I started to notice these kids really started to lose interest in the game. And that is what I did not want to happen, is that I thought every kid that I trained loved the game as much as me. And that is not the case at all. You know, you have to make them love it as much as I do. Because, I mean, the love for the game for me runs deep. Like, my first memory is being at a baseball field and watching my dad hit a home run. Like, that is my first legit memory. I was 3 years old. That made me want to play and want to be a baseball player, right? So, like, that love and that want for me will always be there. But these kids came to me to train because their parents wanted them to train with me, not because they wanted to come. So after I was probably like 27, 28, maybe even a little later than that, when I just started to dial the tone back a little bit and more so focused on the kid's growth versus all I care about is your baseball side. And even now, like some kids I trained like 5-6 years ago still call me to this day. Like actually Ed Brown is one kid. He came by. Ed Brown is a kid that Coach Tim and I coached in high school, right? He's at Alabama State right now. And he called me like, I think I told you, Tim, like a month and a half ago, and just wanted to come by just because, right? Because I changed my philosophy on, you need to do this on a baseball field versus, hey man, how are your classes going, right? Is everything going on okay at home? You know, and allowing them that sounding board and allowing them, hey, you have my number. Anything, if it's baseball related, outside of baseball related, you can reach out to me. So my growth in that, I feel like, has helped me tremendously just as an individual and even as a parent, right? Like I was a totally different parent at 19 years old than I am right now to my kids. So all those things definitely helped, and I'm going to continue to grow. But I don't want to lose that edge that, you know, I'm not going to say fear, but being held accountable. You know, it's going to be a problem when a kid shows up to practice and they know they do something wrong, that nobody's going to say something to them. Right, that you definitely want them to like, oh man, I got to make sure I do everything I'm supposed to. I have my antennas up. I'm ready to go. But then they also know that they are cared for on and off the field. So that's definitely huge.
Zach, same thing. Just talk about your development as a player development guy and a coach over the past 10, 11 years.
I agree with Matt. You know, I'm still very, very serious about the game, but there's more to baseball than just baseball style. The relationships are probably as equally important, if not more important. You got to get the guys to trust, believe in what you're doing, believe in themselves, and in order to do that, it can't be just, you know, gas pedal down, baseball all oriented, 24/7 kind of deal. So you develop you grow as a leader. It's that simple. You grow as a leader. All coaches, I believe, are leaders in their own way, and you learn the ins and outs on what motivates certain guys and certain individuals, and that they're all different. They're all unique. Something that motivates Johnny might not be what motivates Joe. It's just you get to really learn how to be a people person, and what stems and what drives each individual. That's my biggest growth as a coach. Just growing with the relationships and with our guys and our program, and um, how we operate. From a person to person basis. From as a coach, from a technique or drills, from a baseball mindset. I'm just a believer in continuously learning, and never stop. The old phrase, the old motto of learn something new every time you're watching a game, at a ball field, practice game, whatever it may be. I mean, it's true. You continue, and it might be the littlest thing, or it might be something that you had forgotten about and then you're remembering now. Um, you become more and more creative with things. Like there's certain things. For instance, I tell you, I practice base running every single day. And back in my first year, I might be everybody line up at home plate, run straight through the bag. I wanted to make sure every guy's hitting front part of taking a peek in the front part of the bag, breaking down, looking over the right shoulder to make sure there's no overthrow to take 90 feet. But now I'm a little more creative. I have a group of guys at home plate. All right, straight through the bag, break it down, hit front part of the bag, look over the right shoulder, looking to take 90 feet. Then another group's at first base going at the exact same time off the hitter at the plate, and he's doing he might be doing straight steal off the guy off the mound. So it basically they're putting him in game situations. I have a guy on the mound, throwing to the simulated hitter at the plate. Simulator hitter at the plate acts like he hits a baseball. He's running straight through the bag at first. The guy at first is straight stealing. The guy at second might be working on tags. Nobody out, looking to tag in the left field, fly ball left field, looking to tag, or one out, fly ball center field, getting off as far as you can get, balls over his head, take off kind of deal. Guy at third might be working on contact or a squeeze. You become creative with your drill. So to me, your growth as a coach is just your creativity. You become more aware on how to get the most out of a day or out of a practice, and the most out of your guys. I'm just a big believer in not having them stand around full 2.5 hours. Everybody's doing something at every second. A lot of coaches, have BP for practices, and my guys know I don't like that. There's too much standing around. BP is prior to a game. That's when you can enjoy BP. Now, we might have a version of BP where it's live reps. Guys hitting at the plate, you get 5 swings, but every swing, they're playing live defensively. You may not be running, ghosty runners, however it may be, but we are going to get reps out of it rather than a bunch of landmines standing around the field and while you take your BP swings and the next guy goes and stuff like that. So from a coach side of things, I think that's my greatest growth. I've grown with our drills. I became more creative on how to get the most out of our guys.
So Zach, let me ask you this: if you got a 22-year-old senior in college or 23-year-old, fresh out of college, wants to stay in the game, wants to get into coaching, wants to develop as a player development guy, what's your advice to that individual?
Well, I guess it depends on what route he wants to go. If he wants to go into player development, training type deal, one-on-one stuff, or if he wants to go into coaching.
Well, I'll say coaching then.
Coaching.
Wants to coach at a high level.
Take the first opportunity you can get. For instance, you and I have talked about this before. My first collegiate coaching job was college softball. And it by far changed who I was as a coach, changed my personality, changed the way I looked at the game, how I developed players. Softball, same sport, different gender type of deal. So that would be my advice. Don't think like you're just going to get a head coaching job just because you want to be a coach. Go where the opportunity is and learn, continuously learn, want to learn, be observant, learn good and bad. You and I talk about it all the time through the coaches that we've had. I've learned great things from certain coaches that I played for or, or played against. And I've learned bad things that I played from coaches I played for or, saw that I played against, whatever it may be. And you develop who you are, who you want to be as a coach. So that'd be my best advice. Go where the opportunity is and continuously learn. These kids are so much better at social media than I am. I don't know about you guys, but I'm terrible at social media. But there's so many avenues of knowledge now. Like even watching us talk right now, I don't know how many people will sit and watch our chat for the next 2 hours of their life, but I guarantee you they can learn something. I'm learning stuff from yourself, Mac. I'm learning stuff from Coach Williams. I mean, you should never stop learning. And a lot of people, so I have 2 master's degrees. A lot of people ask, why do you have 2 master's degrees? What's the point of that? And I'm just a big advocate and a big believer. Don't stop learning. Knowledge is power in so many ways.
Just for the record, too, me and Matt are amazing at social media. If you didn't know that, and we have been for a long time. So if you don't know, now you know.
All
Okay,
right.
so Matt, let me ask you. What'd you say?
I don't know if I believe you, but all right.
So Matt,
I'm terrible.
Matt, let me ask you kind of a similar question, but different facet of the game. What's your advice to a young player development guy, someone or gal, someone in their early to mid 20s who wants to get more into the player development realm, maybe more into training travel teams, a little bit more of a self-business type avenue?
Go to MetroDetroitBaseball.com and try to figure out what type of team that we have so you can come on and sign up. Trust me, we got plenty of work for you out here. But no, seriously, if you literally don't know anybody, you can always start from your roots. Okay, going back to where you played is something that can really get your kickstart into how you want to get yourself involved in the game. There's a shortage of coaches. There's a shortage of coaches everywhere. There's a shortage of people who actually care about furthering the knowledge of the game. So going back to where you started from is a huge, huge way to one, give back, to make an impact on where you came from and how the next generation is going to come up. But like Zach was saying, I mean, social media is a huge benefit for everybody nowadays. Just going on social media, reaching out to a few people, going to a showcase, a tournament, and really just start asking questions and start getting in people's ear. Because the biggest thing is you're going to have to put yourself out there. If you want to be a coach, you're going to have to put yourself out there. And you're going to have to be the one that, yeah, I made the wrong decision, or yeah, I made the right decision. But you really shouldn't be flamboyant with either. But just knowing, that's the type of personality that you're going to have if you are going to coach, period. So being able to put yourself out there should not be an issue, but I understand for some people it can be. So if you, got done playing college baseball, your first source of resource is the college that you came from. And if you played high school baseball, it's the high school you came from. Asking your coach, do you know of any organizations that need some assistance with coaching or training? And those are two bona fide ways. And I'm sure, the college coach and or the high school coach is going to be like, yeah, I know a few guys who could use some help right now. I got 2 teams that, somebody that wants to coach now. Somebody, needs to get in here and really get their reps in. So there's never a shortage. There's always a want for people who really care about the game and who want to further the knowledge to the next generation. So, those are my, 2 cents in a nutshell.
I'd like to just kind of add to both of those and say that I think the most important part is just doing it, doing anything baseball, doing a lesson, working out with groups, getting to know who you are as a trainer, as a coach, and getting used to having a voice and having things that you like, having things that you don't like, getting used to your routines. There's no substitution for just putting those hours in, for putting the practice in, with either one, and those are constantly evolving as you go out, into your career, go throughout your career. And like Zach said earlier, sometimes you have something, you forget about it, and then you see it again, you learn it again and go back to it, and that happens every day you're around the game. All right, fellas. Hey, I appreciate it. I was going to wrap it up on that. So I appreciate you guys taking some time, talking some ball.
Oh, that's it? That's all we got?
Dude, I mean, we could go over your junior year of high school. What'd you say?
I can talk baseball all day, man.
No, that's all I got right now. That's all we got time for right now.
That's cool.
I told Mac that last time him and I chatted. Like, we could talk hours upon hours about ball.
For real.
Well, so we'll keep these conversations up, and we'll keep talking about different topics. So
Yeah,
I'll see you guys soon here.
good seeing your guys' mugs even through COVID.
Yeah, for sure. Tim, you have to come up with a tagline, bro.
What do you mean?
Like something that you're going to end the call with.
That's strike three, boys. You're out. And on that note, I'm out.
All right, guys.